Hello and welcome. I'm Sam Califer, your host for Vision, the show where we talk all about the College of Arts and Sciences as well as its faculty and students. Today I'm joined by Cheryl Chambers, an instructor in the Department of Communication and the director of the Speaking Center and the Speech and Debate team. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, excited to have you on, talk about all of your great work. But first, I was hoping you could introduce yourself, talk about your professional experience and how you came to Mississippi State.
Sure. So actually, I've always been here. I was born and raised in Starkville, Mississippi. I went to school here for my undergraduate. I did go to the University of Alabama for my master's degree, but I came back and started as an instructor about 15 years ago. So this has really always been my home. It's been my community. It's been my culture. And I've really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to connect with the place that I've always been.
That's so great. I love meeting people who are from Starkville. Yeah. And glad to have you back, and you're making an impact. You've got a lot of big things going on, including you just became the director of the Speaking Center, which just opened up here on campus. So could you tell me what exactly is the Speaking Center and what are some of its services?
Sure. The Speaking Center is an excellent complement to the other type of free resources that students have on campus, like the Writing Center, the Career Center, the Learning Center. What I felt that we needed on campus was a resource for students to get help with presentation skills, public speaking, something that a lot of people are just very anxious about, very fearful of, and just don't necessarily have all of the tools that they need. So we wanted to create a place where students would feel comfortable. They felt like they could work with a peer one-on-one and not necessarily the intimidation of going to a professor or going to someone who might be older or more experienced than them. The peer consultants at the center are trained undergraduates, but they are still the same age and the same sort of circumstances, and I feel can empathize with a student better. So that was the origin of the center, is thinking that we needed something on campus to help students with these public speaking skills, especially now that we've had things like the pandemic, social distancing, a lot of online learning. I feel more than ever we need a little bit of help with our speaking skills.
That's so great to hear, and I think that is such a great service to provide. No matter what profession you get into, you're going to have to do some kind of public speaking. So great for students to have that. So super interesting, and it sounds like you kind of helped come up with the idea and shepherd it along, and now you're the director. So yeah. Super cool. And as the director, what are some of your goals and how do you want to see the center grow?
Absolutely. So this isn't an idea that's original to me. Lots of universities, institutions have speaking centers. So this is just something that I felt our university could use because it's similar to the services that we offer. But in the role of director, what I really want to see is us grow to help as many people on campus and even off campus as possible. We're starting with the mission of helping undergraduate students, but we do want for people to know that our services are open to graduate students, faculty, staff, even community members who might need help with something that they're doing. So part of my goal as director is to start to bring awareness that we exist, to try to identify those different programs where a department may have a speech and we just don't know about it, to let different departments and colleges on campus know that we're a resource for all students. It's not limited to the communication department or to people taking a public speaking class. It's for everybody.
Sure, yeah, that is so great to hear, and I have some experience with the Writing Center, and they are very ingrained in the campus. Yes. Everyone knows if you've got a writing assignment, you can come there and get some help. So it seems like you're trying to do the same thing. Yes. So great to hear. I really do think that it fills a really important role on campus, and so glad you could come and talk about that. And you also wear a couple different hats on campus. You're also the director for the Speech and Debate team. Y'all had a really good season. It's just kind of wrapped up. I hear that you came in second place in a regional championship. So could you just tell me about the season as a whole and how that went?
Yeah, so the speech and debate team, we've been on campus for about 6 years now. It was an initiative started by myself and Brett Harvey, and we felt like the university, in a similar way that we needed a speaking center, we needed a speech and debate team. We're a big enough institution, and we definitely have the types of students who could excel. And so what we have found is that through the years, these students absolutely have excelled. It's really almost all of them. They are so dedicated, they're so intelligent, they are so poised, and of course they are so willing to learn and develop the skills and practice in a place where they are successful at tournament, and then translate those skills into their future careers. We've had a lot of alumni from the program go on to do really amazing things. This season was particularly good for us. We actually were first in our regional tournament.
Oh, great.
But we were second in the nation for our national tournament. And this is a collection of all of the tournaments, this ranking. So we are the second highest team in IPDA debate, which is the form of debate that we practice. So that really is an amazing accolade for the students, something for them to hopefully be very proud of, and something, a goal for us to work towards for next year is to continue to try to be on top and to maybe even try to get that first place position.
Sure, yeah, and that is so great to hear. I mean, you started it, helped make it come together, and so I feel like that must just be such a rewarding, ranking to get sort of down the road. So fascinating to hear, and glad you're getting to help with that and help these students out. And, speech and debate is sort of like a microcosm. I feel like a lot of people don't know that much about it.
Right.
So for someone who doesn't know, what do these tournaments look like, and what are some of the different competitions you can compete in?
Sure. So we are a speech and debate team, but we're a little bit heavier on the debate side, and that's mostly because we have such an excellent coach. Brett Harvey competed in debate in his high school career and his college career. He's a lawyer. He's just extremely skilled, and he came into this program with a set of skills to bring to these students. On the speech side, they can memorize speeches to then perform in front of an audience, and our students do really well in those categories. However, debate requires that they think on their feet. It's this extemporaneous style of delivery where they have to get a topic, have about 30 minutes to go and prep, and then be in front of an opponent and make their arguments, and then as soon as that round is over, they have to start from scratch and do it again. And we usually see 5 to 7 preliminary rounds, and that doesn't include when we advance. So this is really an exhausting program for a student to go through. But again, the students that we have are just so dedicated, and they really see the value that a program like this brings. So I think that that's why we continue to see more and more students joining the team.
Yes, it sounds like, I think for a normal person or someone who's doesn't have that experience, it would be a very scary experience, but all of those skills, I mean, they just come there. Any profession you get, you're gonna have to be able to speak your mind. You're faced with a situation and you come up with what your approach is, and you have to be able to let others know.
Absolutely.
So just such a great skill set to be able to develop here on campus. And yeah, there are, I think people do think it's just debate, but there's so many different types, like you said. I know there's some, informative topics, some are humorous,
Yep.
which I think would be great. So there's really something there for everybody.
There is. There's different ways that when it comes to all of the different types of events, there really is something that anyone could find appealing. So I talk about how amazing these students are, and some of them did come from high school programs, and we came in with some skills already, but so many of our students are absolutely brand new to this as well. And so I don't want for anyone who's watching to feel intimidated by the process. We would love to have anyone come to the team and try out what we do and learn from their peers, because in addition to having excellent coaches, we also have excellent peer coaches on the team, that they take the responsibility of helping new students and getting them to feel confident about those skills.
Sure, it's just like any other team. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, but you come together and you raise each other up. And what you were just saying, there's a place for everyone. I know that the students come from all different backgrounds and fields of study. It's not just communication.
Definitely not.
And then I also know that you're always looking for judges for these competitions. So it sounds like there's a place for everyone on the speech and debate team. So if there's someone listening now who's interested, how could they get involved?
Yeah, if someone is interested in being involved in any way, so whether they were interested in maybe competing or being a judge, and a judge really requires no experience, but you get to travel with us and do some of these fun things that we do at different universities, really they could contact me, Cheryl Chambers, but especially with young people, going to our Instagram is probably the best way to find us. So if they look up MSU Speech and Debate, they're going to find our Instagram. They're going to see that they could DM us, or we usually post about tournaments that we have coming up or interest meetings that we have coming up. So those are two options. Also, visiting the communication website would be another way for them to get more information about what we do.
Sure, and you want to hear from them, so it doesn't matter how. If they reach out,
exactly.
you will get back to them. So super interesting, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but while I was writing this script, public speaking is such a common phobia, but it's really what you're an expert in. You teach students how to do that. So if there's someone listening, what advice would you give, just surface level, about how to do public speaking or just expressing themselves in general?
Sure. So like you mentioned, it is one of the greatest fears, and a lot of people don't realize that. So that would be my first step, is to recognize that this is something that almost everyone else is going through. Everyone else who gave the presentation before you or after you is nervous. Everyone is having those same sort of feelings. So it's very normal to be anxious about public speaking. And the thing that can help the most is practice. To not wait until the last minute to write the speech, to not wait until the hour before to practice it for the first time, to practice it multiple times, to practice it in multiple settings. The Speaking Center is an excellent resource for that they can come in and perform their speech in front of a peer tutor and get that feedback, that constructive feedback about how to make it better before they actually have to step into a presentation situation. But practicing and recognizing that it's a common thing and really trying to be very forgiving. Often what we find with students is they make that first mistake, the first pops out, or the first little stumble, and they just feel the speech is ruined. And in a lot of cases, the audience didn't even notice that mistake. So we just have to be confident that we're doing a good job and keep moving on. So be aware, get that practice, and just have that forgiveness in yourself.
That is all such great advice. It's just like any other skill. You just have to work on it and persevere, and you'll get better at it. And just to end, thank you so much for joining me today, talking about all the great work that you do here on campus. And thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Vision. We'll see you next time.